Hello everyone, welcome to this series on important works in literature where we discuss summaries and synopsis of these works. And in this video we are going to discuss Confessio Amantis by John Gower. Introduction. Confessio Amantis or The Lover's Confession is a significant 30,000 line Middle English poem by John Gower composed between 1386 and 1390. This literary work stands out for its use of the confession made by an aging lover to the chaplain of Venus as a framework for a series of narrative poems. Commissioned by Richard II, the poem is a notable example of late 14th century English literature, paralleling the works of Chaucer, Langland, and the Pearl Poet. It was widely copied and remains a cornerstone of medieval English literary tradition. Textual history. Gower began composing Confessio Amantis around 1386 and the work was completed in 1390. The prologue recounts that Richard II requested the work after a chance meeting with Gower on the River Thames. The poem saw widespread circulation primarily due to its royal connections. Initially dedicated to Richard II and Geoffrey Chaucer, subsequent versions of the poem replaced the dedication to Richard with one to Henry of Lancaster, reflecting Gower's shifting political loyalties. Despite these changes, there is no concrete evidence that Gower harbored hostility toward Richard II or Chaucer. The third and final recension of the poem, published in 1393, retained the dedication to Henry and is considered Gower's definitive version. Style and language. Gower's earlier works were written in Anglo-Norman French and Latin, but Confessio Amantis is primarily in English. Gower chose to write in English to reach a broader audience, influenced by Chaucer's success in the vernacular. Unlike Chaucer, Gower did not adopt the new pentameter, opting instead for the octosyllabic line, a standard form in English poetry before Chaucer. This choice has garnered mixed reviews. While praised for its metrical smoothness, some critics find it monotonous. Gower's language, influenced by Kentish and Suffolk dialects, differs from Chaucer's London dialect, adding a distinct regional flavor to his work. Structure and argument. Confessio Amantis is divided into a prologue, 8 thematic books, and an epilogue. The prologue critiques the moral failures of the three estates of society: government, church, and people, drawing on the biblical dream of Nebuchadnezzar to symbolize societal decay. The narrative framework centers on Amans, who confesses his sins to Genius, the priest of Venus. Genius guides Amans through the 7 deadly sins, interpreting them in the context of courtly love. The tales, drawn from classical and medieval sources, illustrate each sin and provide moral lessons. Narrative frame. The frame story begins with Amans wandering through a forest in despair over his unrequited love. Venus and Cupid appear, demanding that he confess his sins. Venus assigns Genius to hear Amans's confession, which spans the bulk of the poem. Each book addresses one of the 7 deadly sins: pride, envy, wrath, sloth, avarice, gluttony, and lechery. In Book 7, Amans requests a break from his confession, prompting Genius to discuss wisdom and good kingship, a reflection on Gower's views on leadership. The final book, focusing on incest, culminates with the tale of Apollonius of Tyre. The tales. Gower's tales vary in length and origin, with none being original to him. Sources include Ovid's Metamorphoses, the Bible, and other classical and medieval texts. The tales often have analogues in other English works, such as Chaucer's Canterbury Tales. The best known tales include those shared with Chaucer, such as the tales of Constance and Florent, and the story of Apollonius of Tyre, which inspired Shakespeare's Pericles. Literary significance. Confessio Amantis is celebrated for its moral and didactic purpose, blending popular themes with plain language to instruct and entertain. Gower's choice to write in English reflects a broader cultural shift towards the vernacular, aligning him with Chaucer in the formation of an English literary tradition. Despite mixed critical reception regarding its stylistic qualities, the poem is praised for its smooth meter and memorable precision. The work's inclusion of Latin epigraphs and extensive use of French and Latin vocabulary underscores its educated audience and Gower's own scholarly background. Conclusion. Confessio Amantis is a multifaceted work that explores themes of love, morality, and societal critique. Through its confessional framework and diverse tales, Gower provides a comprehensive moral guide while reflecting on contemporary issues. The poem's linguistic and literary significance, along with its historical context and influence, cement its place as a key work in the canon of Middle English literature. So this was the discussion on Confessio Amantis by John Gower. We will meet in the next video and discuss some other work. Until then, goodbye and thank you.